All right, good night, good afternoon, good morning, guten tag. This is the Unpaid and Underrated Podcast. I am your host. Wait, not really. I'm just the editor. You're listening to episode 13 of the Unpaid and Underrated Podcast, and for episode 13, we seem to have lost a good chunk of the podcast, including the intro. So, lucky for you guys, I'm the intro this week. We're going to be talking to Mr. Big Paul Floss this week as the guest on the podcast. South Dakotan native. I believe he resides in Sioux Falls. So it should be a great episode. Just wanted to give you a little intro, let you know what episode we're on. I know the hosts kind of get a little crazy with that sometimes. Wanted to make sure I set that straight as the editor. Also, I received an email along with these files when I went to download the files. It said it was from one Big Matthew. He went on and on about how he was upset that he was made fun of for the voicemail he left last week and yada, 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 and he's keeping the first half of the podcast ransom, yada, yada. I kind of ignored it, just deleted the email, but Big Matthew, if we could have the first half of the podcast, that'd be great. So, until then, this is your intro. See you next Tuesday? I don't know. How does this thing work?
So we are going to go into a steady segment that we've had where we go ahead and rate last week's episode. Keith, you want to fill me in on who was on last week, or was that the rate? That was the rate.
It was the host.
Recap.
It was the host and only those. Yep.
It was the recap.
It was their version. Yep. It was their version of our episode. You know, they stole our episode. You know, we told them all along we were going to do a Massonomics Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic recap, and somehow they recorded a night before us, released it a day before us. They stole our idea. You know, but what's family for? I mean, if you can't help your sister out, who can you help out? But I enjoyed the episode. It was very good. It was one of the few episodes I didn't get a chance to listen to at least partially live because we didn't want to ruin our experience when we recorded just by having what they said fresh in our brains. So listening to the full thing, I very seldom will listen to them Sunday night via YouTube. But I made a point. I think on Monday, I had a really short commute to work and I wanted to be able to consume the whole podcast earlier than later. So I just, I just basically laid in bed and maybe I was playing video games or something for 2 hours and then just consumed the podcast that way. But very enjoyable. It was fun listening to them. You know, their perspective of certain things. I would say we agreed with most of them. So all in all, for a non-guest episode, we'll go ahead and give it 5 JD powers. What about you, Paul? How did you enjoy last week's episode?
So last week's episode, I usually am a dedicated listener when I take the dog on the morning walk every Monday. But I actually had a little downtime on Sunday evening, so I actually sat and watched the whole YouTube video of it.
Hey, me too.
It was nice to harken back to the Lift Hard, Live Easy, where I got to meet all you guys in the flesh. The one criticism I have really is neither of the other podcast hosts went top shelf, and pretty disappointing. I know. Big Joey, you were up there. Big Bryce, Big Mason, and I were up there. A bunch of the spotting and loading crew were up there. But neither of the other podcast guests were. It was a nice shout out from them, knowing that I was one of the last ones to leave the zoo bar after drinking several Froggers. But overall, I'd have to say 5 JDs for sure.
And so a Frogger's a bucket?
No, a Frogger is this neon green drink that tastes like bug juice, and I don't know what kind of liquor they put in it. But Big Bryce ordered a round for the table, which was 5 or 6, and his total was $13.
That's hysterical. They're $2 shots or less. That's crazy.
Insane. I love it.
Yeah. So he literally looked at me. We're both used to going out in Sioux Falls where drinks are a little bit more expensive, and he's like, "Well, I just first drinking for free."
Now, is it a shot or a cup of is it an actual?
No, it was a mixed drink.
Oh, okay. So it probably was more it was their version of jungle juice, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's jungle juice?
Just you never had it in high school? Okay, so
no,
just to get a big Gatorade cooler or some big vat, and do a bunch of different fruit and fruit punch flavors and shit, and as much cheap, like clear liquor as you can pour in it. And then you just,
isn't that just sangria?
well, maybe
No,
not when you're like
sangria's got
14.
wine in it.
Ah, okay. See, here I was.
Like
I thought you were talking about Mississippi Mud, where you just take all the bottles. You take every bottle, whatever's left in it, and you mix it into one big vat, and that's what you drink.
That sounds
Oh,
bad.
Jesus Christ.
Hank 3's got a song about it. No, I was drinking Jack and Coke in high school. Like, I don't know what you guys were drinking. I didn't have no fancy fruit and clear things.
There ain't nothing fancy in that junk juice. That was usually a very rough puking night.
Have you ever had strip and go naked?
No, I can't say I have.
Wait.
So
are you having strip and go and you're naked, or is it called strip and go naked?
It's called strip and go naked. It's a 30 pack of like Busch Light or Keystone Light, a handle of vodka, cheap preferably, and 2 frozen lemonades, like come in the cans, and then you just put it in a big Gatorade jug and you let it all mix together, and then you just pour it out, and it sounds terrible, but it's very good.
Have you ever had strip and go? You ever had strip and go naked? Like, that's what you were setting me up for. So like Paul, I actually tuned into YouTube because that was the day I had to fast. And what else was I doing for an entire day besides running back and forth to the certain facilities? So I slapped on my headphones and I put it on the YouTube. I actually watched the podcast, which I almost never do. Really good episode. I love hearing that they're closer to doing it again next year than they are to not. That's good to know. Helps me plan out my year where I decide if I'm going to do the Arnold, this, or both. And beyond that, hearing they had as much fun as we did, despite the fact that they had to run everything, was pretty good to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5 JD Power and Associates for this week's episode.
A fair rating.
I like to be really hard on my ratings, but this week I thought, be a little light with that 5.
So you would call that a flaccid rating then, potentially? You're I'm more playing into it now. Like you made it a thing, so now I'm kind of
did I? I made it
embellishing it and stuff. It's kind of like the orange. Like everyone associated me with the orange, so I was just like, okay, let me just go like full tilt with the orange, and it's like, oh, apparently I like dicks.
Leaning hard.
But is orange better than being the penis guy? I don't think it is.
Would you rather be orange glaze or big dick liquor? Or looker, big dick.
I'm not a liquor out. But moving on to our sponsor read of the week, Big Paul Foss decided he would take it out of our hands this week. We didn't even offer it to him. He just said, "Listen up, you sons of guns. I'm doing the sponsor read," and here he goes.
All right. Well, today's podcast is brought to you by the Massonomics podcast, run by 2 of my own brethren from the 605. Just a bunch of podcasts about absolutely nothing. If you want to learn about lifting, you might learn a little bit. If you want to learn a lot about screwing around, you're going to learn a lot of that. You can be a supporting member for as little as $3, and then you get to make real adult friendships like I have, and you might end up on a different podcast. So tune in, subscribe, become a supporting member.
Thank you. Thanks also to Massonomics. I was out talking to somebody who's not crew, but like crew adjacent, and it was really cool to be able to explain to them, they're our main sponsor. Like they take care of everything, and it's really cool that they do that for us. So thanks for that ad read there, Paul. Is there anything else you want to cover, or should we dive right in and get our guest on the horn?
I think it's time to get him on the phone.
All right. Let's see if we can get him. I think he's in the waiting room. Big Paul, is that you?
It is I.
Hey, welcome. You're live on the Unpaid and Underrated. We're going to jump right in. We don't want to leave anything on the table. We don't want to miss any gold. So we're just going to jump right in without any practice.
Head first, like always.
Head first, like always. We ain't preaching this one. We're going right through. So what brought you to Massonomics? You've been here a while, I think.
I've been a loyal Massonomics listener and customer for many years. I think I bought my first shirt in 2016. Wow. I was actually a flight nurse in New Mexico at the time. I was flipping through Instagram and saw the original lift shirt. I think that was my first order. So I bought that. They sent me a pack of stickers with it, which I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Didn't deserve that. They called me Big Paul. Great. So I slapped it on my one of my water bottles, and I was doing a patient care flight. Got back on a dead leg, had it up, and had it tied to my flight cot. Took a picture of it, put it on my Instagram, and it was the original "Yeah, Buddy" sticker, and said, put it on my Instagram story. Got shared and liked by Massonomics, which I thought was a big deal at the time. So now, all those years later, here I am on a podcast about Massonomics. And I actually didn't know that they were from Aberdeen when I'm originally from. I've lived in South Dakota all my life, except for when I was down in New Mexico for a little bit. But I had no idea they were from Aberdeen when I made the order until I got it in my hands. It was Aberdeen, South Dakota. And I looked at it and I couldn't believe it. Just, I've been to Aberdeen lots of times. How have I never heard about this?
So we've all been to Aberdeen, and I don't think a lot of people have heard of them either. So it's not just the fact that you're like a few hours away in Sioux Falls, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like they're huge in our world, but I think like in Aberdeen, they're just some dudes that own a gym that have like 50 members.
In the old Aberdabber.
Yeah, and that's everybody in Sioux Falls we call it Aberdabber, and I wear their shirts and stuff to work all the time, and people are like, what the hell is Massonomics? Like, I could try to explain it to you, but it's probably just easier to become a supporting member.
All the answers that you want could be yours for $3 a month.
So I think what I got from that, though, is you've been a long time Massonomics, patron, but are you somewhat new to actually being a supporting member, or are you just new to Discord in general?
I think I've been a supporting member for I think going on a year now, and I've heard about Discord on the other podcast and Instagram stories and stuff like that. So I finally have become more involved in it now since the meet. I've been more involved in it, and really it's just cool because there's a bunch of other dorks like me that love to lift and be goofy, try to be serious at times, but mostly just be silly and make dumb jokes and dumb memes.
Do you find it easier in the Discord now that you've met most of us? Like, did you find that easier? Because for me, it was the other way around. I found meeting people easier because of Discord.
I think now that people have kind of put a face to a name, it's easier. Like Chris Derringer, now that I know him, he's a nice guy. His wife's a lot cooler than him, but that's pretty normal.
He knows it too, and so does she.
Yeah.
So speaking of Discord and Instagram, do you want to share everyone, well, at least your Instagram? We always do it at the end, but it's kind of nice. People can kind of, if they want to look you up, since we just got you on the horn, and specifically your Discord and Instagram, if you just wanted people to find you there. I can't remember if my Discord, I think it's just Big Paul. I think I'm the only Paul in the Discord, actually. And
yeah,
my Instagram is Paul Foss, RN, FOSS. I tend to kind of mutter and slur my words a little bit. I've had that ever since I became a nurse, so it just has been my handle for a lot of stuff for a long time.
It's not Paul Floss.
Nope.
Okay. All right. I hope Nate's listening. It's not Floss. I'll get back to that later.
Okay. So how was your long walk home after going top shelf? You basically, I'm assuming, how early into the night did you decide I'm not driving, I'm leaving my car here? Because I hope that was.
No. You didn't walk back to Sioux Falls when you say home.
No,
the hotel.
I walked back to the Super 8, but I walked from the Super 8 to the Zoo Bar, and then I walked back.
Okay. Oh, I think it was Chris that had decided to get an Uber or something that night and then had to walk back to his car the next morning, I believe. Okay.
That's exactly what I was trying to avoid. And my back was super tight from lifting, and I was like, man, I need to even myself out a little bit. So it was like 1.9 miles, and about halfway through it, it was hotter than shit. So it's like, oh man, I was wearing the 5-pack tee, so it was black in very tight denim jorts and flip-flops. So about halfway through, I was like, this was a mistake, but I'm too far committed to this. But at least in the morning, hungover and sore, I didn't have to walk back to the Zoo Bar or try to get an Uber at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you walk a lot anyway, right? And,
I do.
I know we like to be silly gooses around here, but you have an incredible story about weight loss and adversity and things. And I do think that your walking is part of it. And I saw the face you made, and I love you. But it's probably worth sharing, man, because people go through this kind of stuff all the time. You don't have to touch on anything that's uncomfortable, but like, tell us, man, like what happened? Why? What? Obviously, it was a big enough story that somebody else told us we should bring it up, right?
So I'm gonna guess Big Maddie, my wife, probably told you about this, but at one point in my life, I was a big fat bastard, as I tell her and tell everybody. And most people don't believe me looking at me now. At one point, I graduated college and I was about 330 pounds. So I started working as a nurse and just was kind of very unhappy with how I looked. So I decided I'm going to start working out. Started just the bro split, I hit a major chest, major back, major leg every day. And then I finally kind of developed into powerlifting, and I've been doing the big three for the last training consistently for the last 5 years. But I competed at 242. I weighed in at like 237. So, I mean, I've maintained 100-pound weight loss here or there since that point. But yeah, now I have the excuse that I have my dog. He needs to be walked and exercised, but I walk probably 5.5, 6 miles a day. But
that's about what they said. Now, what was the? Do you mind? What was the catalyst for? That's it. I'm losing this.
Kind of a serious goose deal here, but it's like, you just wake up enough days in a row and you're just very unhappy with how you look. And like, I was 22 years old, and chicks don't necessarily dig the dude that's big and fat. So I was like, I need to do something about this. And so now I, replace my crippling addiction with food with working out and walking my dog. So it's probably a better choice.
I agree. What was first, diet or exercise?
I kind of did a combination of both, but probably more so diet first. I kind of lived at home, lived in the dorms through college, so I just ate crappy. And at one point when I was in school, when I was in college, I had a girlfriend at the time that kind of pressured me into crash dieting, eating like 1,200 calories a day and running. And to this day, I still hate running as a result. And
Same.
I lost so much muscle mass and just was a shell of a man. And then I went back to school and started eating a bunch of shit again. So gained it all back. And yeah, I just graduated and started to clean up my diet, cut out a bunch of sweets and just, bullshit that we're all guilty of eating. And cutting it back, you can have it once in a while. So I kind of do the 90-10 split of clean eating. So,
right. It's not a diet
first.
It's not a diet. It's your diet, right?
Right.
It's one of those like, oh, here, this is bad for you. Well, bad in what way? But it's your diet. Well, it's really, I really wanted to talk about that. I really wanted to hear about it because, it's one of those things I heard, and I know that's not easy. And I wanted to just commend you and say, hey, glad you're here. Glad you're finally happy if that's what you are.
Yeah, for sure. I never thought I'd be 230, 240 pounds with a 4-pack. So got that going for me.
Oh yeah, 4-pack. Yeah, ugh. I've got the keg. There's muscle under there, but there's a lot of layers to protect it. That's that's what I always joke. The reason I asked about diet or exercise first is I've heard about the transference effect. That sometimes if you just do some exercise, eventually you'll step up. It's like Arnold was saying, you can't outwork a bad diet, but like you kind of can, because if you keep working, eventually your diet will start to suit the needs of it, just because your brain will start going, well, you're already doing this. Do the next step. Start doing like
and that's still why I eat so clean now. It's because I really do love strength training, and it's a pretty big part of my life. So it's like if I can fuel it with good shit and then I can perform better, it just makes more sense. So if I want to go out with my wife and have a banger of a dinner, I'm going to, but it's not something I'm going to do all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a habit I got to break. Thanks for sharing that. And I hope that wasn't stepping on any toes, but it was something I was interested in. So what's next?
No, absolutely not.
What's next? You just did the Lift Hard, Live Easy. Some strongman maybe in the future? Like what's going on with
I've
you?
always when I first started getting into shape, I did an amateur strongman in a little podunk town, which is actually southwest of where I live now in Sioux Falls. And I got, I think, third place in that, just kind of a fun little dick around one. Looking back now, if I'd have been a little bit better shape, I could have won it. But strongman would be fun. It's just South Dakota, they just aren't real big into like athletic endeavors for whatever reason. The lift hard, live easy for untested powerlifting, which granted I can compete tested, whatever, but I like the deadlift bar. I like the squat bar. Do I squat or deadlift enough for it to really matter? No. But that was about one of the first ones that they've done on this side of the state. They used to do one West River, but I would love to do strongman, but I just got to find competitions to try.
You brought up a point there, and it's something I think I want to contend a little bit. And it's come up multiple times, and it's the idea that unless you're doing over 5 plates, you wouldn't notice the difference on a deadlift bar. Well, I call shenanigans. Having lifted on a deadlift bar, the Kabuki and the Texas Power Bar, and my straight bar, and even only doing 3 plates, there's a difference. There's a difference with the knurling. There's a difference with the thickness. There's a little whip. Even once you more than 2 plates, you notice the whip. Right, it's a little longer. So I would say that you're not the first to say it. So I didn't want to like argue with you, but like people in the Discord have said it before, and I'm like, no, man, I noticed, and I only did 3 plates because I was just having some fun.
Right, and so I have a Ohio deadlift bar, a Rogue one in my home gym, which I'd love to get in Texas, but I just gotta save up the cash for it.
I got one for sale for $250, buddy. I'm not shipping it though. You got to come up to Rochester and get it, and I'll even give you the crew discount of $200.
I have in-laws that live in Rochester, so I could actually try to bargain my way to do that with my wife. But
we could do that,
but
buddy.
The first time I ever pulled 500 was on a stiff bar, and then I pulled it on a deadlift bar, and I was like, oh, there is a difference.
Yes, yeah. I'm at home and I'm using the stiff bar, which is the Bells of Steel Bear Steel, and it's like 4 plates was hard, sure, a little higher was hard, and then I'm picking it up on the deadlift bar, and it's like, this is way easier, like, and it's only 4 plates, so I think, all right. Well, you could always come to Canada. Like, we apparently have a ton of strongman stuff. I don't even compete in strongman, but I've just been following Mitch Hooper and looking at what he does, and we apparently just have strongman everywhere. I'm in a contest right now to win a mammoth bar attachment from some strongman company out in Newfoundland. So you can always come up here. We're not that far. And I'm sure there's a ton of strongman stuff up here going.
That reminds me, do you guys remember when JF Carone blew his legs out maybe a year or two ago?
Yeah, I saw the video.
How that was over a year ago. Is he retired? Is he fucked?
Nope.
I haven't actually followed up on that, but it was was it the Arnold 2022? It had to be the Arnold 2022, right?
Was it quad tears that happened to him? Or
I think it was a double.
Dual. Yeah, he dropped the log on himself, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's actually he's still at it. I saw somebody.
Was it on the big squat? Maybe I can't remember what it was now. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I swear he dropped the log on it, but no, he's back. He's not obviously at top, but he is rehabilitating. He is working. I saw him doing some heavy lifts the other day.
That's good.
But I mean, what's the point with Mitchell Hooper demolishing everybody? Mitch Hooper was doing 2,000-pound leg press for 10 reps today on Instagram to prep for
shenanigans.
Because he's going up to the Shaw, right? So yeah, he's as much as JF Cron as one of the originals with Mitchell Hoover there. Just
well, speaking of leg presses and other home gym pieces of equipment, Big Paul, I saw that you just got rid of one of your squat racks, and you were debating on what next piece of equipment to get. You had asked about, a lat pull down or a functional trainer, or what this, that, and the other. Because I think currently you have a power rack, a leg extension, leg curl combo, and that's about it, right? So what are you looking to add to the gym?
I'd like to just outfit it with all the best stuff, but I really think a lat pull down with a low row is probably going to be my next. I do, I try to keep training as simple as I can. I got, safety squat bar, deadlift bar, Olympic bar, power bar, my leg extension, leg curl. So I think getting something upper body would be nice. I have the room that I could do a lat pull down, and if I could find a screaming deal on a functional trainer, I probably would. But I think a lat pull down is probably going to be my next purchase.
Nice. How much square footage are you working with out there?
It's 14 by 20 inside. So, and I could cut down my platform a little bit because I have my squat rack on a deadlift platform that's a full sheet of plywood long, so whatever, 8 foot, 8 foot deep, and then
You deadlift in front of it then, I'm guessing.
yeah, and that's so I kind of have a Franken rack that's a Titan squat stand that I bought the extensions off the back just to make it into a half rack, which it works for me, and and it has all my weight storage on it, but. Eventually, I'd like to upgrade to a 6 post because my wife actually graduates PA school on Friday, so she wants to get back into lifting with me. So I think I could probably swing upgrading to a 6 post so we could lift at the same time and not have to mess with heights. So, and then she would probably like a lat down and a functional trainer. So
There you go.
I really just gotta talk her into making it seem like her idea.
Well, you train with her once and you realize, I'm assuming you guys aren't similar heights, so benching and squatting together is not really going to work out.
No, she is a 5'4" and I am 6'3".
Yeah, that's not the same height. So yeah, that's so you can sell it all and get a combo rack, but then they're not overly like safe and shit. And if you don't have spotters and whatnot, unless you do some kind of like harness in the ceiling. And
I should try to talk her into buying a mono.
yeah, that's I don't know. I've never been a fan of monos personally, but there's a lot of guys that like it. They're just different strokes for different folks. But
Well, in America, we walk out squats.
absolutely. Did you earlier you were talking about when you were quote unquote building out the shed? Did you actually like do some reinforcing for deadlift specifics? Because you don't tell like if you're just deadlifting on the stock floor, I can't imagine this going well.
No, so I actually watched the original Massonomics How to Build a Deadlift Platform video. So I have 2 sheets of 3/4 inch particle board and then stall mats and then my middle finished piece of plywood. So I haven't seen any cracks come up yet. So
Perfect. Well, that's good.
and
That's good.
I've dropped 585 on it once and it hasn't done anything. So
Was that at the top and she slipped out, or did you do one of those? I stood up with it and you just kind of got overzealous and just threw it down.
the tunnel started closing in, so it's kind of it was controlled, but it
Gotcha.
wasn't controlled.
Might have got at least one red light at a meet.
Yeah, as I just black out and fall down.
So speaking of the meet, though, how was your experience as far as your numbers? Did you hit PRs? Was this wasn't your first meet? So did you hit new meet? Did you hit any?
This was my fifth meet I've done, and actually I PR'd in all three. I had an 80-pound total PR, squatted 430, 310 bench, and a 575 deadlift. So I was pretty happy.
It's a big deadlift.
I was very happy with it. I'd hit it once in training, but it probably didn't lock out. I kind of had a soft lockout at home, so it was kind of shaky whether I wanted to go for it. But it was all I had in the tank because I watched the live feed and there's a couple shakes on the way up. So I was like, yeah, probably a good thing I didn't push it any higher.
Well, it's good to see that really long commute you had from Sioux Falls didn't affect you negatively.
Right. That's, a whole 3.5 hours. I had to drive 85 and then I had to slow down to 45 a couple times. So
Now I wonder that there's a lot of guys in Sioux Falls now. There's multiple other crew in Sioux Falls. Are you going to make any attempt to meet up with them? I think I'm drawing a blank on people's names right now, but I know at least 3 or 4 guys that live in Sioux Falls.
Bryce, Tommy. Should we be calling it Crew Falls?
So yeah, pretty much. So if you peeped the Massonomics Instagram story the other day, there was a text conversation that was about is this how you make adult friends and it only costs $3? That was actually Big Bryce and my conversation. So we're actually planning a time so I can head over to Little Sweeties and get a lift session in, and I could probably learn a thing or two about conjugate from Bryce. He's a big boy, big and strong. Big Mason is coming down. He's actually sort of my neighbor. He lives about 3 blocks away, and so he might have to come over to the shred shed a little bit and teach me how to bench. And I still have yet to see Big Tommy walking around town with his couple kids and his dog. He lives on the kind of Sioux Falls is split down the middle with the interstate, and east side of Sioux Falls, west side. I live on the west side, which is the best side, and the east side is where Tommy and Big Bryce live. But I'll make an excursion.
Big Grayson's out there too, isn't he?
I think he is, and I haven't met him, so
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool.
He was at the meet, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Well, that's the thing. There was 60 of us there, so like I know I didn't shake the hands of at least 20 people that I probably should have and like met and introduced. So like I guarantee that that's funny. Like Grayson could live a block away from him and they never met just because there were so many fucking people there. And if you just didn't have to cross, if you just weren't introduced, you know.
There was too many. Paul, I don't even think you and I spoke much at all on the weekend.
I think just maybe a little bit in passing, but it was chaos.
Yeah, it was almost, you're right, Keith. It was impossible. It was utterly impossible to talk to all of the people I wanted to talk to. And then somebody would be like, oh, hey, that's, and I'd be like, oh, I want to talk to that guy. But then he's like going up for his thing. And then I get distracted. It was crazy.
I think I asked Paul 3 separate occasions if he got a sticker and if he listens to our podcast. Because I was like, did I add you to the list yet?
Well, he had his long hair then. So he stood out. He stood out then.
You're a different person.
So now I just blend in.
There was a how do I word this in a way that doesn't get me in trouble? Mm-hmm. There is a plethora of people that look mildly the same at that meet. And
bearded with long hair and taller than us.
Well, there was a couple of those, but there was generic, like clean shaven, short hair, muscular, in white t-shirt guys. And I was like, even one and two, I'm like, did we meet already? And they're like, yeah, last night. I was like, I'm so sorry. But like the people that had like distinguishing features, like Paul's long hair, he stood out to me the entire time. Right. But now you don't have that long hair. That's less than 2 weeks later. So what happened?
So my wife and I got married 2 years ago, and then she started to be a physician assistant. And I told her, it's a 2-year program. I said, I'm not cutting my hair when you're in school. So she graduates on Friday, and last Thursday, on my day off of work, I went to the barber and got my hair cut off. And I had the idea that I was going to cut it off and donate it. So I ended up doing that. It was about 14 inches of hair that I cut off. So I came home and I didn't tell her that I had cut my hair. And she was just at home studying, and I just show up and she's like, what the fuck did you do? Like, oh, I cut my hair. And she like was almost tearing up. She's like, I started to really get attached to your hair. It's like, yeah, it's time. It's hot.
Yeah, it'll come back.
Yeah, it's hair. It'll grow back.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Have you noticed anything that's just easier now without having 2 foot of hair? Like, is work easier, or is
showering's probably way easier?
Not having to wear it in a bun at work has to be great.
Yeah, showering is immensely easier. Working is really nice not to have to put my hair up all the time. Because I'd go to work and like if I had showered even the night before, it would still be wet when I got off work the next day. It just held water and like it's just hot, and then it's like brushing it, and I don't know how women who have long hair do it, or guys that keep long hair for a long time, because 2 years I was at my wit's end. But yeah, I mean, it went to a good cause, and actually I sent to Wigs for Kids, which when Alan Thrall cut his hair years ago, he had a Instagram post about it saying that Locks of Love actually charges kids for their wigs that they get from them. And I was like, well, I'm not going to donate to something like that. So he donated to Wigs for Kids, and that's where I did it. And actually, today I had a coworker that donated a bunch of her hair to him too. So it's kind of cool.
That is awesome. Very commendable. So speaking of your coworker, you've been a nurse for a while. Have you done a couple different at one point you were a flight nurse, and now you're what do you specifically do now? If you wanted to mention that, or how has your career evolved?
What Keith really wants to know, Paul, is what's a catheter and a penis like?
I did not say that. Well, someone, I think Big Bryce asked what it was like to be work in the cath lab, I think, but I'm not sure if that's what you actually do.
So I work in a cardiac cath lab. So basically my job is the most intense part that I do is if you have a heart attack, you come into the cath lab, we put either a line in your arm or in your leg, and we go up and we shoot pictures of your coronary arteries. And if you have an occlusion, we balloon and stent to open it back up to kind of decrease the damage that you've done to your heart if you have a heart attack. So for nursing wise, it's a pretty great job. I work 4 10s a week, so I get one day off.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
I work a little bit of call, but I do a lot of sedation. We do conscious sedation at work. So basically, I get to put people to sleep. And if I do my job right, they don't remember my name. So I can never do a good or a bad job, you know. And they never remember. They never remember me.
Was Big Nate one of your patients previously? Is that why he thinks your name is Floss?
Potentially. He might have a little hazy.
Damn it. I really thought that was going to land. That did not land. Damn.
It took a second.
Uh,
Well, I got put under for my thing I did this week. And it's actually kind of a funny story is they were asking why I was there, and I was explaining that I was losing strength. And as a lifter, I track that kind of stuff. Right. So the anesthesiologist comes in, right? And they tell her, oh, he's a lifter. So I swear, she's like, lay down, face this way. She goes, so what kind of lifting do you do? Olympic? And I was like, well, thank you. But no, this is not the body of an Olympic lifter. It's like, I do powerlifting. She goes, oh, me too. Good night. And I'm like, why would you wait until you put me out to tell me the coolest thing about you? And I was just out in a second.
So if you're familiar with the Happy Gilmore movie, Ben Stiller, the nurse, and that,
yeah,
you'll go to sleep or I'll put you to sleep. That's basically the running joke at the cath lab all the time. We get people that tend to complain a lot. So we get them to go to sleep. And then as soon as they close their eyes, like, you'll go to sleep or I'll put you to sleep. You're in my world now, Grandma.
Nice. So
one of my coworkers used to have his ID badge. He cut a picture out of Ben Stiller from that movie and put it over the top of his picture. That was the greatest thing.
Yeah, that's
great.
That's funny till the boss notices, if they notice.
It's the people I work with are all silly gooses, including my boss. So
outstanding.
Critical care areas, and you'll find in the hospital or wherever, you kind of have to have a pretty different sense of humor, I'll say, to work in those, because it's, you know, it could be really high stress, and then you got to go eat lunch after you had something terrible happen in front of you.
Yep.
So you kind of just start to slough stuff off, and that's why a lot of us go to therapy. But you know, it happens.
So so obviously you weight train for mental health and everything. Do you play the guitar for mental health as well?
I do. I like to play guitar. I wish I was better. It's one skill I could probably stand to practice a little bit more, but I tend to serenade my dog in my basement, and I tool around a little bit. But do either of you guys play anything?
I do not know.
Nah. I sang for a couple of years.
You're not skin flute players?
Oh, here we go.
It does seem to be pretty popular, though. We've had multiple guests that have played some instrument or another, so it seems to be a very running theme. I think the crew could have a pretty decent sized band.
Just be
as
like
long
that.
as Big Zach's singing, I don't really care.
Would just be like
that kid's got some pipes on him, doesn't he?
For sure.
I got one from Big Jen, who noticed that you seem to do archery. Obviously, you're hunting, but have you ever done a competition for archery?
Actually, when I was in college, I was actually a national champion archer. We won a national championship in a team round when I was in college, and I was academic All-American a few times and All-American back before the little liberal arts school. Before it was a varsity sport, we were a club, but we would go to national tournaments and shoot against like Texas A&M and Penn State and some big schools, and we were a school of 380 kids. And luckily, where I grew up in Yankton is the National Field Archery Association headquarters. So we had this baller range that we could go and train at and shoot. And at one point, I had aspirations of being in the Olympics, but I tore up my shoulder, and it had some weird pain. It was like a burst of sac rupture or something, and I couldn't shoot the bow as much as I needed to keep training for that. So that went away. But I still try to hunt, and I still enjoy shooting competitions every now and then, just a lot less than I used to.
That is so cool.
You mentioned Yankton. That is a little river town on the Missouri River. So you basically grew up as a river rat. How was that?
I was and am still a river rat. So my grandparents had a little acreage on the river, so I kind of grew up there. It's I still try to spend a lot of time down there fishing and hanging out on the beach and having campfires and stuff. Have a little boat. They take out fishing. Took my wife out the first time when we were still dating and was going 30 miles an hour, weaving it out of logs, just full tilt. And she was not as big of a fan as I was, and I thought it was pretty funny. But she doesn't quite understand that I've been doing the same thing since I was 8. So, you get a little experience under your belt. But yeah, Yankton's kind of a interesting little town. It's about an hour south of Sioux Falls, so it's about 4.5 hours away from Aberdeen, right on the Nebraska border.
And was it at 8 years old that you decided you wanted to be a chef, and that just never came to fruition?
Man, she really set me up with some zingers, didn't she?
And the reaction that you just gave us with your face is why I slide into people's DMs, because without people's spouses giving us this dirt, and it's not even like just your, like, there obviously is a story there, and you're just catching you off guard with it. That's why I love fucking doing these podcasts. It's great. It's my favorite part.
So little Paul, before he was Big Paul, was a little chubby kid, and I loved to watch Food Channel and all the cooking shows. So I would make shit all the time, and I had a single mom growing up, so it was kind of up to me to cook a lot of my own food, and so I'd end up cooking for her, cooking for myself, and for a long time I had aspirations of being a chef until I was actually in high school when I started to look into it more and just realizing that the business is just a nightmare to deal with, and just dealing with people, which I'm not a huge fan of doing anyways, and trying to run a business and all that stuff. And I was like, that just sounds like way too much work for me. And like, I don't want to be married to a business. So I still love to cook. I try to cook for myself and my wife. I meal prep for myself, but every Sunday I try to usually do like steak and risotto or something fancier on kind of like a nice Sunday supper, have a nice glass of wine and talk about our week and what's coming up. So I still love to cook, but my aspirations of being a chef have died.
Speaking of food, you're obviously a sweets guy. So not counting like fatty, unhealthy shit, what do you consider a good, healthy sweet? Like not fruit, like something that what do you like go to for a healthy treat?
Oh, a healthy treat.
Or is it even I mean, basically it could be like your favorite protein bar or something if it has a little chocolate or peanut butter or something. But if it's, if nothing jumps out to you, then it's probably, possibly not worth mentioning.
Or even if you're having trouble answering that one, somebody in your family was a pastry chef?
So my mom was, she actually used to be a cake decorator it was one of her jobs that she had. She had a side business decorating cakes, and she's an excellent baker. And that's probably part of the reason why I was a little on the heavy side as a kid. But everything she makes is good. Just scotcheroos, brownies. The story that you probably want to hear is when I was a flight nurse. At one point, we were down a nurse at the base I was at. So I worked 5 weeks straight of 24s, took a week off, and worked 4 weeks after that. That week off was probably the most unhealthy week of my life. I went to the bar every night, and I got home and just eat crap. And at one point, I just stress ate an entire tub of Monster cookie dough.
Wow.
So Monster cookies are still my weakness, you would think, after something as stupid as that. I would never want to touch them again, but I can't say no.
What's a Monster cookie? Maybe I'm missing it.
So it's like half chocolate chip cookie. There's some oatmeal in there. There's a bunch of peanut butter in there, and then M&Ms and chocolate chips, and they're just the tits, man.
That sounds amazing.
That does sound really good.
And imagine drinking like 6 IPAs and then coming home to just cookie dough of that. You can't not.
Today, my wife, she made something, all this food talk, and I got to throw this out there. So she made stuffed squash sprouts. So did you know you can eat the little flower of a squash before it turns into a squash?
I didn't.
So she made those. She stuffed them with ricotta and coated them in batter, and I deep fried them outside. And like, shit, I could have eaten those all day.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, she likes to do this weird stuff every couple of every bit, but it's no tub of cookie dough. I'll tell you that. I don't even really eat cookies. Go ahead.
You mentioned Scotcheroos. That's a word I never heard until I saw Tanner's flyer for the what was on the menu that night. Is that a Midwest thing? Is that a South Dakota like a Scotcheroo? I think I had one. I can't really remember why. I mean, it was a tasty treat. But is that like have you ever heard of a Scotcheroo before going out there, Joey?
No.
Same.
So a Scotcheroo is a Rice Krispie bar, but instead of just marshmallows and butter to keep everything together, it's basically you make caramel and then you put peanut butter into it, and then you add chocolate on the top with peanut butter melted into it. So it's just it's basically heaven in Rice Krispie form. And yeah, it's if you go to any potluck, any like church function, school function, you go over to somebody's house and they're like, "Oh, what do you bring something?" Somebody's going to bring a pan of Scotcheroos, and I will always go for a Scotcheroo first round because it always happens in the night. People drink, people start to just pick, and they even out the edges, and then before long, all the Scotcheroos are gone, and you're going to regret not getting one.
No, I should have tried
So
one when I was there.
heads up, next year, get one.
No, absolutely. I regret not having one now.
So I just want one more thing. Tiger meat, is that a delicacy that you've had out there as well?
I am a fan of tiger meat.
Okay.
I like to eat my steaks like blue rare. So that doesn't, the raw meat aspect doesn't throw me off. In South Dakota, make a lot of really good beef and grow a lot of good beef. So there's actually a place that's just north of my hometown. It's called the Meridian Bar because it sits on the Highway 18, Highway 81, which Highway 81 follows the 81st Meridian. So that's why it's the highway. It's why it's 81. So it sits right at that corner of those two highways, and they serve tiger meat. That's actually pretty good.
No, we didn't. I didn't get to try that while I was down there either. So there is one thing.
There's always next year.
No, there's definitely going to be next year. I'm going to know so many more people by then. So there's one thing I wanted to do. And this requires a little backstory. We've already spoken about it. And I want to leave it here because I think it is the silliest thing I've ever heard. So Nate messages us earlier today. We have a group chat going. And he says, and I quote, "Can we do a floss, or floss segment where I'm going to bring up 3 types of floss and ask you to rank them?" And I half zoned out. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea, thinking that you somehow worked in dentistry. Keith interjects and goes, "You guys know it's Foss and not floss, right?" And I said, "I don't care. I'm keeping it. And I'm throwing Nate under the bus." So this is from Nate. It is irrelevant to anything we've discussed, but I'm keeping it just to make sure that Nate stays on his toes a little bit while this baby's around. So I'm going to give you 3 types of floss, and you're going to rank them.
All right, let's do it.
Dental floss, the floss dance, and voodoo floss. Do we know what voodoo floss is? Do we have to discuss that?
Nope, I gotcha.
All right.
Rank number 1, the floss dance. I cannot do it. I respect those that can.
It's so fun. I'm not good at doing it, but I'll be darned if I'm not going to try it all the time.
Number 2, dental floss. I try to floss twice a day. Usually I can get it once done a day. I'm told it's important. I don't know. I'm afraid of the dentist, so I try to floss to avoid going to the dentist.
Correct.
And voodoo floss, I don't know. It's got to be the 3rd because I think it's just smoke and mirrors. I don't really think it matters. I've tried it. I just don't think it really matters. I'm maybe not doing it right, but it's never helped me.
All right. Well, thanks, Big Nate, for that suggestion. There's a couple of crew members that are like on every episode. And whether or not they are on the episode, they're always here. And I wanted to make sure that he somehow felt a little bit of that embarrassment that I feel when one of my questions goes wrong. So that's for you, Nate. I love you. And I hope your new baby are having fun.
He should enjoy that segment. I know I got a kick out of it. I was reading it and I'm like, is it funny because it's like it's Floss adjacent. Like his name's Floss adjacent. Like that's one of my like a ton adjacents that people always don't laugh at. And then I was like, well, wait, no, he really thinks his name is Floss, I think. And I was like, let me, I gotta set this straight. So that was I really enjoy our group chat because that's stuff we get.
That is not the first time I've been called Paul Floss.
Well, and I'm just a dumb golden retriever going along with it, right? I'm just having fun no matter what's going on. And it's just Keith is like, that's not his name. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like I knew that wasn't his name. I assumed this was something to do with something else. So
oh, dude, that's like pretty small potatoes, and I think it's really fucking funny.
That's great.
Good.
Silly question of the week is making a return. So what do you got for me, Big Joey?
All right. I actually reached out to Maddie to see if this one was going to land or not.
Nice.
And I think we're going to find out right now. If there was what fictional language would you want to learn? And this can be anything, like fantasy, science fiction. I know you're a Marvel movie fan, anything, but I want to know why. Why that particular language? I had friends that learned Elven back in high school when Lord of the Rings came out, because you could just learn Elven, right? I know my answer. My wife knew my answer before I even had to say it.
You said it had to be fictional?
Well, you can learn a real language right now. Nothing is stopping you. Like, yeah, what fictional language would you think would be the most interesting to learn? I'll tell you now. In the Star Trek Discovery, when it happens pre-contact, not pre-contact, but like pre-Federation-ish, the original Klingon language, that guttural, that when they say things like keep Klingon or stay Klingon, remain Klingon, that's what they say all the time. But that I would love to learn, whatever that was. But apparently it doesn't exist on paper because some of the sound effects they actually had to make up. But I think that sounded so cool. It sounded so just like harsh and angry and like primal, because that's what the Klingons at the time were portrayed as. That's my choice.
I think I would have to say just Klingon from Star Trek, because my dad was a big Trekkie growing up. So just looking at that, a funnier answer, I think, would be to speak the same language as the guys on Letterkenny. But I know that's just never going to happen. So
I speak that. It's fine. It's easy. Sometimes there's shit in the urinal. The what? So Klingon, that's two Klingons, but like, would you go like Star Trek Next Generation Klingon? After like, so that guy, so Worf, we'll talk about Lieutenant Worf. He is a hybrid, right? So he is a human Klingon hybrid because after Star Trek Discovery, they started breeding together and they had like that. So that's their Klingon. The Klingon I'm going, if you can hear the difference slightly, but totally would be. I think Klingon would be a fun one, and you can learn Klingon. It's on Duolingo, but it's a fictional language. Like it's not spoken in the world.
Right. Yeah. I just, my dad was a Trekkie growing up, so I think I just have to go with that. I don't,
it's a good choice.
That's probably about it.
Keith is Googling languages right now.
I am. Well, I was trying to see what jumps like. I guess dark.
He's checking his spreadsheets. He's checking the spreadsheet.
Like Dothraki.
Spanish. I would love to learn Spanish.
Was a big Game of Thrones. Give a Game of Thrones fan.
Dothraki is a good one, actually. I didn't even think of that.
I had to. It was like trying to Google like made up languages.
It's pretty close to Klingon, Dothraki, I think, because they do the same. All of those things, like those older languages, they all sound the same because they're trying to emulate that guttural, heavy tongue that we used to speak with in all of our languages, right? Even you just said Spanish. There's a form of Spanish called Castilian Spanish, which is spoken mainly in Madrid, Spain, and they have a heavier tongue. So their Zs are like they pronounce everything with a Z and a heavy tongue because that's
gotcha.
But they also think they're better than everybody else. So unless you're listening to this, in which case, keep doing what you're doing.
If I was to go real language, I would be torn between, I guess, whatever is it Korean that most like all the Netflix shows, like there's like a million Netflix shows that are Korean, and then you got to watch them on dubs, and it's just a pain in the ass. But like maybe that, because I've even got I watched was it Kingdom is like the zombie. I'm not sure that might be I don't know if that's Chinese or Korean, but there's like a whole, so I guess one of those two if it flip flop between the two of them, but basically stuff that I consume on Netflix that is in a different language that's just a pain in the butt to, because then it's like it's like do I want to read it, or do I just deal with it like just not syncing up? And I think typically I just go with the English voiceover and just kind of deal with it looking weird.
Well, I mean, you could just do that. That's the thing about real languages. And I know it seems hard, but I'll give you a brief example. So in my high school days, I did French, Spanish, English, obviously, and I was actually set to get the scholarship for French and Spanish languages in general, but I ended up hating my grade 12 French teacher. But then I also just started implementing a little bit of Latin, and now I just sometimes learn German for fun. But if it seems daunting, but I'll be honest with you. If you look at it from this perspective, when you started powerlifting, that's a new language for you. You didn't know RPE. You didn't know RIR.
For sure.
You didn't know that stuff. And while it's in English, it's a new language. So if you're sitting here telling yourself you can't learn a new language, you're lying, because you've already done it. You've done it multiple times throughout your entire life. When you started going to school, you didn't know any of this medical language. And sure, it's all in English, but you learned a whole new language, man. So if you are out there and you're thinking, well, I'd like to learn Korean, go do it. Go buy a book, start practicing. Nobody's going to make fun of you. So that's motivational, Joey. I'm going to drink this beer.
And that'll lead us into one of our favorite games here, a little overrated and underrated for Big Paul. Are you familiar with the game? You understand the rules. It's not your personal opinion. It's the, you got to compare it to what the general population think of each subject, and then kind of come up with an answer that way using a little druthers.
As long as I have my druthers, I need nothing else.
Then you do have to ride one horse. You can't ride two horses with one ass. Hey, so there's some trivia. Who was the first person to say that? Where did we get that? I remembered it the other day.
I don't know.
It was Marisa, wasn't it? From Juggernaut?
It might have been.
I think I heard it referenced in like a random movie or show, like completely un-Massonomics related, like somewhat in the last couple of weeks, I think, too. And I was like, I've heard that before. So I think it's just an actual thing.
Well, yeah. How did it get into our world? So if anybody's listening, go ahead and correct me, but I'm fairly certain it was Marisa.
I never knew the word druthers or hearken existed until Massonomics, and now I hear them like every 2 days. I'm like, oh, I know what that means, and now you're fucking.
Oh yeah, hearken's a good one, and it's so funny how often that one comes up right now. Oh, anyway, yeah, we're gonna do overrated, underrated. Some of these they're all handpicked for you, but they're all from different sources. I have some of the sources written down. I know Jen sent me some. I came up with at least 3 of these. Keith has one of them, 2 of them. So, Keith, why don't you lead the way with those first couple?
Number 1 for Big Paul Floss, overrated or underrated? This is from our buddy Big Bryce. Sanford Health.
So this is a real catch-22. So I work for Avera Health, which in South Dakota, especially Sioux Falls, there's 2 major health systems. There's Avera and there's Sanford. Bryce works for Sanford. I work for Avera. And I've worked for Avera almost my whole career. So I got to say they're overrated, but my wife may get a job with Sanford, so we might have a house divided. So I'm still going with the overrated because I work for the good guys in green. Sanford wears blue, and I just got to say they're overrated.
Nice. Good. I always like when we get some specific people to ask questions, and it's actually like hits home. So it always makes it a little more enjoyable for us. So this next one comes from one of the hosts. He asked about, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, so I'm going to say it's Hy-Vee grocery stores, because he did not spell it out that way, and I was looking at it and I was like, HIV grocery stores. I don't get it, but yeah, Hy-Vee grocery stores.
So Hy-Vee grocery stores. Hy-Vee grocery is a business that started in Iowa. So there's a lot of crew that probably shops at Hy-Vee. I hate Hy-Vee. They're way overrated. They're overpriced. Well, the only thing that would kind of decrease their overratedness slightly is they have really good American Chinese food. They're we call it Hai Chai.
Yep.
So it's very good, but as a whole, I think Hy-Vee is overrated.
Now, is that like a hot food bar they have it, or is there like a dedicated little station where you can just like go?
Yeah. So no, they have like a whole like basically diner. They have like Italian, high or Chinese, and then like American food where you can get like mashed potatoes and turkey and chicken and all sorts of other shit. It's like it's you could eat an entire like day's worth of food there and eat something new for every meal. That's hot and
Nice.
ready that you can just eat there.
I gotta ask, Keith, when he sent you this, did he just send you HIV grocery?
I believe, because I even looked at it for a second and just paused, and then I had to Google it, and then it was like, okay, and then I think I even
So
responded.
Keith had
I
to
was like,
Google HIV and was like,
well,
wait a second.
because I even responded to one of the hosts. I was like, I thought you were talking about AIDS for a second. I was very confused. I was like, wait, what? But then it all made sense. So yeah,
So
that was,
it should be HYVEE is high
yep,
V.
and
Yeah,
yep,
which is
and
what he put it
that's
in as in the notes. But
yep,
the way he was describing it was like the HIV grocery. What the hell?
that's how it was.
HIV grocery completely.
And unless I was looking at it wrong in the text I got from
I'm
one of the hosts with a beard.
I'm not shopping there.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't want what they're selling. All right, last one that I'm gonna ask you, I'm gonna hit you with is pop country, overrated or underrated? Pop country.
Oh God. Oh, it is. It's terrible. I don't know if you guys like pop country. I'm going to assume no, but it sucks. So
Mhm.
I don't mind country music, but the country music I like is like Sturgill Simpson, a little bit more like Americana outlaw country stuff,
I
which is
love
sad
I love
it's
outlaw
sad that you
country.
have to call you have to it's sad that you have to call it like Americana or outlaw country, which is just saying country music that doesn't suck.
Yeah,
So completely overrated. Morgan Wallen sucks. Jason Aldean sucks. Luke Bryan sucks.
agreed. Hank 3, go listen. Shooter Jennings,
Oh yeah,
go listen. Bridge City Sinners, go listen. Scott Byram, go listen. Stick to all these guys, and you'll love country music again. But yeah, this all committee written.
Coulter Wall, a fellow Canadian for you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yes, love that dude actually. But I was like, I call it Chrome Country,
Yeah,
right? Because these are the guys with the shiny pickups and the that I understand the working man. No, you don't. You grew up in Atlanta,
no,
my friend. Like you don't know small towns.
bingo.
Anyway, so I'm glad we agree on that one. All right, so that's 3 overrated. Okay, get the feeling I'm gonna get a couple overrateds. So overrated or underrated? Dog breath.
You know, I love dog breath. I'm saying underrated. I love dogs. I love all dogs. I don't care. They're all good boys.
Yes,
And,
correct.
I'll take a nice wet dog nose and a slobbery kiss any day of the week. It always makes me smile.
So Jen wanted me to ask overrated or underrated Goldadors.
Underrated. I have a Goldador. They're the best of both worlds. I have a great hunting dog. I take him duck hunting, pheasant hunting. He does great. Hunts like a lab. Super motivated to go, but then he sits on the couch and loves Oni like a golden retriever.
Mhm.
And he's just the happiest dog and loves everybody like every golden retriever I've ever met. So it's the best of both worlds. I recommend everybody gets one.
That's why I mentioned earlier the golden retriever thing because it's just sometimes you just want to be that happy. You just want to be
Oh
that
yeah.
happy and loving, just walking around like everything's new and great and awesome. And I agree. That was like a 1 and a 1A. So I'm actually going to turn these ones around. I'm going to read these in a different order. So overrated or underrated? Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah, that's a good question. I for a long time at work, I had a Thanos sticker on my name badge, much like my coworker had the Ben Stiller. And people would ask me, "Why do you have a Thanos sticker on your name tag?" And I just snap my fingers and said, I just wish half these people were gone. So I'm going underrated. He is probably my favorite character in that universe.
Nice.
Although I do know that in the actual like comic books and the whole mythology behind it, Thanos is trying to impress Death and all that stuff. But I don't know. It's I just like the characters in the movies. I think do a pretty good job for him, and it's just that snapping my fingers trying to get half the people gone, but they just are always there.
Well, they would have had to water him down for the movies, right?
Right. You can't have him trying to kill everybody so he can impress death. That's kind of a bad
And
deal.
and in Marvel, Death is a sexy lady too, right? So
Right.
because Deadpool also
He's
has a crush on her.
yeah, he's trying to get laid. I mean, we've all done bad things for women, but
All right.
You cut
This
your
is
hair off for a woman, I believe. So
exactly.
okay. So this is the one for all the Marvels.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Overrated or underrated? Photo finish toilet runs after walking the dogs.
My wife and I are going to have a conversation about this.
She gave me like a paragraph describing this, and we had to like sum it up into like something that we could say on the podcast because she gave me so much information.
So I have a little bit of IBS, okay, and I used to drink a bunch of coffee before I would go on my morning walk, and I walk like almost 3 miles every morning. And there's a couple times where I would send a Snapchat to my wife when she was up getting ready for school, like, you need to open the front door because I don't know if I'm going to make it.
I've been there. That's the only reason I'm laughing.
There was times where I would, like, the dog would still have his leash on and he would end up in the kitchen and like I would leave my coat on and my shoes on, just run to my basement like I'm going to shit my pants. So
We've all been there.
I think they're underrated, and it's same with that powerlifting meet. Sometimes you push yourself a little hard and you think, I got out of this hole in the squat, but I might need a new pair of boxers.
There are literal times my wife will tell you, we will pull into the driveway and I will just jump out of the car and go, like just pee in the driveway because like, nope, I'm not making it to that washroom. Like I'm gonna burst now. Or even like, are you gonna help me with groceries? And I'm already halfway in the door. No, because so I relate is what I'm trying to say.
So I have a lifetime policy. I never trust anybody that has not gambled on a fart and lost as an adult.
It's happened.
Yeah. Well, that brings overrated, underrated. It looks like you passed.
Yep. Well, we can air this one this week. We still got to figure out a closing Cool Beans alternative.
I'm on it. I already know what I want. It's just a matter of programming it.
Make it happen, Cabin.
I'm gonna have to sit down with Nate. One of you, like, I don't know if you guys have ever installed things on a computer. Obviously, you have. You're not Luddites like me. But it was asking for so many permissions and confusing things. I was just like, I'm gonna call Nate. Like, we'll FaceTime and he can walk me through it.
He should definitely have more free time now, right? That's what happens when you have a third kid, right? You just have more free time.
Yeah, the big one watches the little one.
Oh, yeah.
He can't feed the kid. You got all sorts of spare time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And as somebody who has two kids, about this age, fathers are useless. You're there to support mom. You're useless to the child, right? Unless you're getting up at night or you don't have to work or anything like that. Like, yeah, I will say, yeah, for the most part, you're right, Paul. I'm just here to get you things while you do the baby stuff. Like, that's what I'm going to do. Or I'm here to watch the other ones because this one's taking all your time. All right. So I'm interested to see what Paul has for us. So we're going to flip it back on you and see if you want to ask us some questions or not.
I have one question that I'd like each of you to answer. And I don't know if my wife had mentioned anything, but I love being outside. I love nature, walking, hiking, hunting, fishing. But there's one thing that I've always loved, and I related a lot to my grandpa and growing up on the river and stuff like that. But if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Myself, I would consider myself an oak tree. I like to think of myself as strong, kind of slow growing, slow to grow on you. But once I'm there, I'm strong, and I kind of represent that strength. I just kind of want to know what you guys think. A little bit more of a serious goose question, but.
All right. So Keith looks like he's programming. So I'll go ahead and answer. Interestingly, I primarily use tree scented things. I love trees. My beard oil is essentially, it smells like the moss of a tree. Like if you were to smell my beard oil when I first put it on, you would think I was sleeping in the woods. I would have to say it's a toss-up between a willow tree. I love willow trees because they are gigantic. Their roots are spread far. but they are strong. They are strong because they are limber and because they are willing to move with the wind rather than against it. And that's where their strength lies, is in their flexibility. And I think that as a person growing, that should be everybody's endeavor. Be like water, as Bruce Lee said.
I like
So
it.
I would say that, or a birch tree. And it's only genuinely just because a birch tree is so effing useful. Up here in Canada, like the indigenous population use them for everything. They're the cleanest burning wood, so it's guaranteed that you can cook over it. You can pretty much use the bark for anything. It has medicinal properties, and it looks cool. But the problem is they are weak, physically. So a good fart will knock over a birch tree, but they're useful in every other realm.
I just thought maybe it was because you peel if you get sunburnt.
Oh my God, do I ever? It'll purple. Wife was laughing at me the other day. You're gonna go purple from this sunburn. Keith, what do you got? What's your tree, man?
I don't know. What's the enormous ones in like the big state parks out west?
You're gonna call yourself a redwood? I gotta hear this.
I guess. But yeah, there was like the massive ones are where there's like the people at the bottom are just they look like an inch. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the redwoods out in the West Coast.
Uh, I guess those would be cool because they're the biggest and the best, I suppose. But
They're the most phallic shaped.
yeah, I have to kind of feed into the orange beast though. There are actual orange trees, right? So I'd have to go with an orange tree, I suppose, just because it provides sustenance.
Well, you're from New York. All trees go orange at some point, right?
There's Osage orange, which is the hottest burning wood that there is. It's they make a lot of archery equipment out of it. It's Osage orange, and if you burn too much Osage orange in like a cast iron fire burning stove, you can actually melt it because it gets too hot.
Oh wow! What makes wood actually burn hot? It's weird. It's had like more it's something about its composure, what it's made of that actually burns hotter. That's crazy.
Somebody much smarter than me probably knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an arborist.
I'm just a monkey with a syringe, man. I'm a monkey with a syringe.
We've got an arborist in the crew. We should probably hope they listen and answer this question for us.
I like something that provides sustenance and like food for other people, I guess, because I feel like that's kind of what I like to do. I like to provide a place. I like to provide an orange sanctuary down here. So a tree that provides oranges would be the same, right?
I dig it.
The orange glazed tree. Paul, genuine question, and for the people at home, I hope you can figure this out. How did it get so much darker that you look like the cover of a John Wick movie right now?
So I'm in my wife's office that I don't have the lights on because when I got home, it was still relatively light out, but now the sun hath set and it's just I have no light behind me and I'm wearing a black shirt, so now it's just I'm a floating head.
It went from full visibility to like shooting a Queen video. Like you're just a floating head right now.
Well, I think we would have started at 7:30 Aberdeen or Sioux Falls time, and now it's a little after 9 Sioux Falls time. So if there's anything we know about South Dakota is that it gets dark kind of late. So yeah, that's as soon as I started like the last hour, it's gotten darker and darker and darker. In the last 20 minutes, he is literally now. It's almost like a meme. You are just a neck and a head. It's pretty hysterical.
It's so he can hide from the mosquitoes.
Oh God.
I just saw, so I have a big picture window in this office and I just saw a truck spraying for mosquitoes drive past. So yeah, we have a mosquito problem.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Fly problems. Just regular, they got the biggest damn horse flies that want to, suck your soul.
I never noticed that.
And they bite. God damn, do they bite.
Yeah, I got lots because I even like before we went to Tanner's, I bought like mosquito spray and like sprayed the shit out of myself. And I was like, cool, no mosquitoes. But then I still got bit by like 7 houseflies.
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare.
Well, that about wraps us up, guys. It's a pretty decent episode, pretty good length. But I do have a single question. Did you guys hear the end of last week's episode? Did you guys catch the Easter egg
of our episode?
Yeah, I did. I actually, I was looking on it, just listening to it, and I was like, oh, there's still a couple minutes left, and it sounds like it's done, but it definitely was not. You got to listen for the goose honk.
Yep. It ain't over till the goose honks. And I can we give spoilers? Like, do you assume if they're listening to this one that they've listened to that one?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
Okay. Um, when that phone started ringing and and Big Matt was there, can I tell you, I think I was in the gym, okay, just finishing it up because we started it upstairs and then I took it downstairs in the gym. I died. I had to like lean over my barbell because I was laughing so hard. I think I was doing military press or something. And like the what a next level. And this is all Nate. I'll tell everybody. I'll tell you all. Nate actually didn't tell us he was doing that.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So when Keith commented, he was like, "Hey, that was really funny." I was like, "No, I got to hear it." As far as the future of the podcast goes, Paul, you've listened to all of our episodes. Keith, we've been on all the episodes.
Well, I have. Yeah.
To me, that was permission for the next level of where I think we can go with this. That was a full-on skit.
Oh yeah, it was great.
That was a skit added to the end, and I was just like, "That's what we were missing. We were missing that next level of how to make things a little funnier." And I think that
I think you just got to keep dropping little nuggies in there for the dedicated listeners that
Yeah.
I think it's worth it, and I think we could probably figure out a few more things through the Discord to just keep adding to the prestige of it all.
Instead of just us talking all the time, but having that little skit at the end, I was like, that's it. Like that was what we needed. And then if we do that every once in a while, where we can just suddenly focus a little more on the comedy, I think I'm ready. I'm so excited. I want to thank Nate for that.
Yeah, I thought I had like accidentally called someone because I was like, okay, cool, the podcast is over, and then it's like my phone's ringing, and like I'm driving in my work van from one job to the next, and I'm like, did I call my boss back or something? Like, what the fuck? And then there's Nate's voice with our voicemail, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be really good. And then it was perfect. So if you have not listened to it, do yourself a favor, go back listen to last week's episode. I know that goes to like all of Paul's hundreds of followers that are probably only tuning into this episode. Go ahead and do yourself a favor. Like, follow, subscribe to the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. Go back, listen to our backlog because that is important. So thank you for that, and rate us and all that jazz.
All right, I'm gonna bring it on home. You can find us at Unpaid and Underrated podcast on the Instagram. But if you're having trouble with that, just go to unpaidinternpodcast.com. That actually leads you to all the episodes. You can find whatever you listen to us on the website, as well as some bios for me and Keith. And
yeah, you have a new bio now. You have like a paragraph bio, and I still got the 3 words, but they're both accurate, so you can't be too upset with it.
Well, you'd never know based on everything you see from me and that I used to write. I've been published by newspapers and stuff. Like I used to write all the time. And then they're like, well, write a bio. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about me. So it took me like 2 months to finally get something reasonable. Paul, where can we find you? Where can people follow you on?
That's Paul Foss, RN, Foss, Foss, not Floss. So Paul Foss, RN on Instagram, and then Big Paul on the Discord. Still the one and only Paul. Let's keep it that way.
Can people follow your dog?
He has an Instagram. My wife runs it, so hopefully she'll be a little bit more up to date on things. He is Loki the Goldador.
He's a gorgeous dog. I was perusing that, and because I also love dogs, I was checking that out, to be honest with you. You can find me at Joey_Malesko MLS. He's at KO. But chances are you're already following me if you're listening to this. If not, I'm probably going to bore you, but tune in.
And I am Big Keith. You can follow me on Instagram at KeithHoneycutt73. Go check out my Orange Gym, the No Wine Cellar. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and see you next Tuesday.